taking the guesswork out of what's next. Disney Genie can help you predict when you might experience quicker access to attractions, so you can spend less time waiting in line. Dining reservations, restaurant wait lists, and mobile order service have never been simpler than with Disney Genie. Check in right from your phone, and you'll be taking your first bite before you can say, Mickey Mouse. Have a question? Ask about the resort from anywhere in the parks. Want to make the absolute most of your time? Purchase Disney Genie Plus service with your ticket to use our new Lightning Lane entrance at a variety of attractions. You'll save time in line as you make one available selection at a time throughout the day. You can also individually purchase a time to arrive at one or two specific attractions each day using the Lightning Lane entrance, offered in addition to our standby and virtual queues. Both options are easy and simple with same-day planning for attractions and integrate right into all your other plans in your Disney Genie itinerary. Also part of Disney Genie Plus, enjoy audio experiences tailored to specific locations throughout our magical lands. And capture memories in new ways with Disney PhotoPass. With unlimited downloads from the day you're visiting at Disneyland Resort, or innovative new augmented reality photo lenses if you're visiting Walt Disney World Resort. Live in the moment, enjoy the magic, and rule your park day. Disney Genie and Disney Genie Plus services will help you make magical memories sure to last a lifetime. Your adventure is your choice, and it's just a wish away. Disney Genie, you've never had a friend like this.
All right, so here's just a quick overview of what tonight is going to look like for us. So we're going to discuss Genie and Genie Plus. There are some very key differences depending on which option you choose at both Disneyland and Walt Disney World. We're also going to dive a little bit deeper into what that Lightning Lane is, talk a little bit about individual attraction selections, also sometimes referred to as an individual Lightning Lane. And we're going to show you, we actually have a video of how to use Genie and Genie Plus in the app. So obviously you guys aren't there yet. You're there, you're at home. So we're going to give you a good overview of what you're going to see when you're there. And then we have some tips and tricks that have come from our agents and ourselves as we try this process out. It's been a lot of work to kind of get those put together for you, and we hope they're going to be super successful. So Amanda's going to talk a little bit more about Genie for us.
Okay, so as you saw in the video, Genie is a built-in tool that's in the Disney World or Disneyland apps. So it's built right in, you can find it. We're going to show you how to find it a little bit later. The Genie portion is free to everyone visiting the parks, and you can look at it now and get a feel for it before you even go. This, as was covered in the video, does things like a personalized day planner where you can add things to your wish list and it will recommend when you ought to do them, and you can build yourself kind of a customized itinerary, and then you'll get notifications that say, hey, the wait is really short right now, you might want to head over to Thunder Mountain right now instead. It gives you the wait times for all the rides in the park. It has the virtual assistant or the chat feature on there. You can join restaurant walk-up wait lists, and you can mobile food order, all from the Genie portion. And this is, like we said, a free service. You will use all standby lines, but it will make recommendations for the shortest standby lines and what order it recommends doing the things that you want to do to achieve the shortest standby line. So that's Genie. There's actually kind of three separate things. So the next portion is Genie Plus, and this is the add-on to the Genie. So this is $15 per day per ticket at Walt Disney World and $20 per day per ticket at Disneyland. And that's because the Disneyland also comes with PhotoPass. And so Genie Plus can be added to your package ahead of time but you have to add it for the entire length of stay, either on a resort package or on a ticket only purchase. If you add it in advance, it has to be for every single day for every single person on the package. The other option is to add it per day on the day of, right in the app yourself, one day at a time. Is that clear enough? This is a very confusing process, but so feel free to ask in the chat if you're like, oh, I'm not quite sure I got that. So if you want to add it just a day at a time to try it out and don't want to commit to every day, you have to add it yourself starting at midnight. You know, the morning that you want to add it, you can add it for your party just for that day. Otherwise, it's the whole package. Okay. The Genie Plus gives you the ability to book return times for lightning lanes. This is the only way that you can use lightning lanes. You can book one lightning lane return for each attraction per day. So only one lightning lane per attraction per day. Disney World on-property guests can book their first Genie Plus selection at 7 a.m. Off-property guests can book it at park opening time. So that's going to vary depending on the park. Animal Kingdom, it'll be 8, you know, Magic Kingdom might be 9, Epcot might be 10 or 11. So when the park opens, you can book your first if you're staying off property, and if you're on property, 7 a.m. Disneyland guests are a little bit different. All guests are exactly equal, and you can book once you're actually tapped and checked into the park at Disneyland. So once they've scanned your ticket, you can go on in the app and make your first selection. And Danielle is going to talk about individual lightning lanes, which is also separate from both of these other two things, even though they're all contained in the same thing.
Yes. All right. So here's part 3. Okay. We did part 1, part 2, and here's part 3. So these are a separate purchase, and they are kind of attached to those most popular rides, whether it's Disney World or Disneyland. They are attached to those top tier Rise of the Resistance, Web Slingers at Disneyland, things like Avatar, Flight of Passage, things like that. Those are those top tier rides that they've selected. It is not included with Genie Plus. You can, however, purchase these select attractions, whether or not you have Genie or Genie Plus. So if you decide that day that you're not going to do Genie Plus, but you do say want to go on Rise of the Resistance at Hollywood Studios or Disneyland Park, you can go ahead and purchase that individual option without having to purchase Genie Plus. And then the prices vary. So you can kind of look in the app, like Amanda said, you can kind of get a feel. We'll show you where it is and you can kind of look and see what that price is. It ranges. Weekends generally tend to be more expensive, busy times. Same thing. Right now, those prices are averaging about $7 to $15 per person for the ride. So a couple of the kind of caveats with this is you are limited to 2 per day. So if you are park hopping, you can choose one at Magic Kingdom and one at Hollywood Studios if you would like. So you can mix and match the parks, but you are limited to 2. At Walt Disney World, kind of what we were talking about with Genie Plus, you can make that selection at 7 a.m. When you are staying on property. You can make that individual attraction selection and purchase it ahead of time right then at 7 a.m. At Disneyland, it's the same thing as Genie Plus. You cannot make that selection until you have physically entered the park, they have scanned your ticket, and then you will have the ability to go ahead and make that purchase.
So these are going to be available. You can contact your adventure specialist. They will have these for you because this is a lot of information, but we just created some documents that show you exactly which rides are included at Disney World and at Disneyland. As you can see in the far right-hand column, these are the individual lightning lane selections. The rest of these are things that are included in Genie Plus, right? And then the individual lightning lane selection, like Danielle said, is outside of that or in addition to it. So we've had some fun developments at Disney World in that some rides that were separately paid for are being included between now and August in the regular Genie Plus package, which is great. It just gives you guys more value for your money. So I know Mickey and Minnie's Railway was one of those, Frozen Ever After was one of those. I think Space Mountain was one of those. There were kind of a handful. So this has been updated. This is totally current for now. I mean, until something else changes, but we always update everything as quickly as possible and get it to you so that you have the latest information. And then same with Disneyland, obviously less attractions here just because there's fewer rides and fewer parks. But these are the things, and we have a whole packet ready for your adventure specialist to send out to you with all kinds of information. So touch base with them after this, or maybe they'll touch base with you and get you all this information so you have it at your fingertips. Okay, now we just have a video from Becky, and I guess Danielle, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, so Becky made this video for us. She was just in the park. It was Friday, actually, of Princess Half Marathon weekend. So she just made this so you can kind of get an idea and a feel for where to find everything and what it's going to look like for you.
Let's talk about Genie Plus. Open your My Disney Experience app and click on Tip Board. Next, you'll want to select the park where you have plans that day. The app will automatically default first to Magic Kingdom, so if that's not where you have a reservation, simply click on Change Park. Next, the app will show all of the options available to you through Genie Plus for that day. So just scroll through and select what you would like to do first. Throughout the day, you can select additional experiences after you have completed your first selection or 2 hours have passed since you made that first selection. The app will also auto-populate and include all guests that have park reservations. Anyone without park reservations will not come up for selection. In addition to the Genie Plus selections, you also have the opportunity to purchase individual lightning lane attractions. Again, the app will only include those guests with eligible park reservations. Just select those guests wishing to participate. Select the time you prefer from the available options. Then purchase your lightning lane. You're all set. And your selections will appear right there on your app under My Genie Day. That's all there is to it for using Genie Plus at Walt Disney World.
Awesome. So that's a real quick kind of video. Now you know. So when you are playing around with your My Disney Experience app, you can kind of go in and get a feel for where it's going. So something that Becky touched on, and something that is, you know, a question that we get a lot is, when can I get my next one? So we've created a flowchart. Yes, a flowchart. I didn't realize I'd ever make one of these for my Disney planning, but I think this will hopefully really help you understand the process. So this one is set specifically for Walt Disney World. So those of our Disneyland clients who are here, basically the only thing that really changes is you would just on the first box be whether or not you're checked into the park. Okay, so at 7 a.m. when you book that first return time, you're going to then drop down to the next box and be prepared so you know when you can do the next one. And that big question is your return time more than 2 hours after the park opens? If it's not, if you say you grab something around 9:30 a.m., follow that flow chart to the left and click and go to no, and then you are going to be able to grab your next return time as soon as you tap in. So as soon as you scan that Magic Band, or if you're not using Magic Bands, if you're using Magic Mobile or your Key to the World cards, once you do that, you are going to be able to make your next selection. If for whatever reason, the selection that you made at 7 a.m. is, say, 11:30, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whatever, you are going to head to the right. You are going to set an alarm. Setting alarm is key. And you're going to go ahead and grab your next selection 2 hours after the park opens. Okay, that's the key. It's not 2 hours after you make your first selection, but it's 2 hours after park opening. I keep saying Magic Kingdom opens at 9, so that's what we're going with, because that's just what my brain always wants to say. So if Magic Kingdom opens at 9, you're going to go ahead and set your alarm for 11 a.m. so that on the dot, you are able to go in and make that next selection. And you can do so even if you haven't written that other one yet. Then you just kind of go back through, go down the flow chart, okay, after that next one, and answer that same question. Is your next return time more than 2 hours away? If it's no, then you're going to do the same thing you did before. You're just going to grab that next return time as soon as you have fully tapped into the ride. If that answer is yes, you're going to go ahead, set another alarm. So at 1 p.m., you can make that next selection. And that's just kind of how it rolls for the rest of the day. Okay. This is another graphic that we have available to you. Your adventure specialist has it. So you can really look at it, make sure you understand, and ask them some questions.
Hey, Danielle, we
Yes.
have a great question
Yeah.
that popped up in the chat. The question is, what does it mean to tap in?
Yes. Okay. So tap in. We use that phrase more frequently for Magic Bands because you kind of just tap and go. So if you have a Magic Band, you would tap in. You also would be tapping in, and it's scanning at the front of every lightning lane. There's going to be a gold little ball that has Mickey's head on it. And when you do that, that's how they know you are available to go in. So you would tap your Magic Band, tap your key card, and it will turn green if you can pass, blue if there's an issue, or red, you don't want to see red, and they'll handle it for you. But you tap in there. That allows the cast members to know that you have an approved time. And then sometimes on the most popular rides, they're going to have 2 tap-in points. And so, you know, if you try to tap it, or if you try to get a new lightning lane, like immediately after you do that first scan, when you walk in to the lane, if it's not letting you yet, it's probably because there's another scan point coming on or coming forward. And so once you do that second tap of whatever you're using, your Magic Band, your Key to the World card, or your Magic Mobile app, whatever you're using to kind of to manage that, then it should be available to you. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense because you kind of literally are tapping in, but that's just how cast members know that you're supposed to be where you are. So, all right. Woo.
That was a good question.
It was.
Okay, so I'm going to share some tips and tricks. We know we're like giving you a lot of information. We do think that it will be much easier once you're actually there and using the app. Like after like a couple hours, it's gonna feel very natural. But we want to make sure we're giving you all of our best advice and information. So you're going to want to make sure that you are linked to everyone that you want to make reservations for in advance. So one person in the group can make all the Genie Plus reservations or the schedule for everyone in the group, or lightning lane selections, individual selections, whatever. But you want to make sure you're linked before you get there, just because it'll be, if you ever have an issue, you can go visit someone under a blue guest services umbrella and they'll help you get straightened out. But talk to your adventure specialist before. They'll help make sure that you're linked to everybody and you are all good to go. You can also purchase Genie, if you're purchasing one day at a time, you can purchase for everyone in your group as long as you're all linked. Our next tip is to choose the next available ride, not necessarily the most popular. And so like like Danielle was talking about, when you get that 2-hour wait, sometimes you might get on at 7:01 and the only Slinky Dog is at, 8 p.m. at night. And then what happens is you lose, that time until 11 a.m., that 2-hour waiting period before you can make another attraction selection. Whereas if you're to choose whatever's available at 9, you're able to choose another one at 9. And if you can get one at 10, then you're choosing another one then. And so by choosing the next available thing rather than the most popular rides, you can actually use your lightning lane more often with your Genie Plus. You may end up riding, you may end up waiting in a standby line for, those 2 popular attractions that are going to go first thing in the morning, but you'll actually use it more throughout the day on more rides. So that's our tip there. Our next tip is refresh, refresh, refresh. Danielle is the queen of refreshing. If you don't see what you want right now, it may be available 30 seconds from now. And so it's worth taking a minute to just, pull down on your screen and refresh the screen and keep looking. And you can have multiple people in your party looking and refreshing and booking. So, share the responsibility, have everybody checking, and whoever's, sees it first can grab it. But people are constantly canceling them, trading them. They're constantly popping up. In fact, in one of our videos that we were making, it happened where something popped up that hadn't been available before. So that really does work. Danielle kind of already covered set an alarm, but it's so easy to get caught up in things. If you've got a 2-hour wait sometime, make sure you set an alarm so you're getting that next pass as soon as you can. We did a little poll among our clients who have used it and us who have used it. We think it's a reasonable estimate to estimate about 3 to 5 lightning lane uses per day with the purchase of Genie Plus. And we've actually had people get as many as 6 or 7. So obviously there's a lot of factors here. It depends on the crowd levels. It depends on which park you're at. It depends on, all of these things, but it's actually in some ways at least comparable to the old fast pass system and about the amount that you could use it, if not better. So I feel like that's encouraging. And our last tip is in Animal Kingdom, because Expedition Everest is currently down, it may be better actually to spend money on the individual attraction selection instead of Genie Plus. If you're going day by day, and you'll be able to see when you get that chart from your adventure specialist, you'll be able to see like, okay, there's only, it's Animal Kingdom, it's for a lot of shows. And so, it might be better to use that money towards like Flight of Passage rather than using it that day for shows. But that's only if you want to do it per day. There are downsides to having to buy it every day as well. If you're park hopping from Animal Kingdom, the great thing is you can get that one and then start stacking up your other passes in whatever park you're going to hop to. So anyways, those are some of our tips and tricks, and Danielle's going to talk about the complicated issue of canceling.
Okay, so Amanda mentioned, and in my refresh theory, it happens a lot because people are canceling what they're holding. And it sounds super easy, like I'll just do this, but there are some like little pieces that can add some complications. So we just want to make sure that you are aware of those before you do it. You most definitely can, but here are the kind of really 2 big pieces. If it's before the park opens, so say you did 7 a.m., the park opens at 9, and then you're just kind of sitting around, everybody's getting ready, you're having breakfast, whatever, and you're just kind of refreshing through the app to see what's there. And all of a sudden that, let's say, I don't know, whatever you chose at 1 p.m., Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad, all of a sudden shows up for 9:30 in the morning. Awesome, that's fantastic. So you want to cancel, okay? You can do that. And the biggest part is because of option 1 right here, if it's before park opening, it's not going to affect the rest of your day. Okay, because you're still in that pre-park opening time frame. Where it gets a little bit more complicated and where you have to kind of be cognizant of the time it is and the time that you are able to make your next selection is if it's after park opening. So if you happen to be on the app because you're going through your Genie day, right? And it says, okay, go here. So you're walking there and you happen to notice that maybe there is a, I don't know, it's at 10:30 and there's an earlier time, just by a little bit, but it's there and it's earlier. You see, okay, 10:30, your next selection would have been at 11. If you cancel and rebook that 10:30, it's going to restart your 2-hour time frame. So then instead of making your second selection at 11 a.m., you now made that selection at 10:30 and you can't make another one until 12:30. So realistically, like if you're going to cancel and rebook, you just kind of really need to make sure that it's on that earlier side of your 2-hour limit so that you're not, making that cancellation and then restarting that clock. And hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, this is complicated. And if you have questions about it, don't hesitate to reach out to your adventure specialist so you make sure that you fully understand. The other thing is there's no modifying. So you have to make that cancellation first. So one of the things that we kind of suggest to help improve your success of canceling and rebooking is having 2 people working on it together. So 2 people in that My Disney Experience app, 1 person canceling, 1 person having the ride that you want to use pulled up with the time there, and then doing it almost simultaneously, cancel, and then a rebook immediately. And so that's probably your best bet. There is a chance that by the time you cancel, that one that you saw is no longer going to be there. So it is a risk. Another very important piece to know about the individual selections, those are those special rides, right? That you have to pay for separately. They cannot be canceled or refunded once they are made. So once you have those, they are set in stone. That time is set in stone. They're really pretty strict about times. Right now, it's not as flexible as it used to be. And so you have got to do that. There's no cancellation, no changes. If the ride is down, right? If you've been to Disney World before, Rise of the Resistance, it's a very complicated system. And so there are a lot of times that might go down. If it goes down during your window, you're going to have the ability to show back up at any point in time during the day and ride the ride. If it happens to stay down for the whole rest of the day, it will automatically be refunded. If you have any questions while you're in the park and something has happened during your IAS time, it's down and you're like, whatever, I would go find the Blue Guest Service tent. They are going to be your best bet when you are there. They're all over the parks. You can find them. Blue tent, super easy to spot, and that's a really good place to go. So, that's a lot, guys. Sorry. All right. So we just gave you all of that information. And I know Michelle's been working in the chat answering questions. But if you also want to unmute yourself, we're super happy to answer some questions. We're so thankful you're here. We are recording this. So once it kind of processes in the system, we're going to go ahead and get that posted. So if you'd like to rewatch it, just reach out to whoever invited you here tonight, and they can get you that link so you can kind of go over that information, as well as getting all of those documents so you feel super prepared in your decisions and using Genie Plus while you're on vacation. So Michelle, are there any questions that we should kind of address that came up?
Let's see, I'm going to go back through. Well, you did address, one person asked about how you can make reservations for one person or for everybody in your party. So we know that. We did get a question about asking if we can give a copy of the presentation. If you have questions, I guess I'm not sure that we're going to share the entire presentation, but we can share parts of it. You can reach out to your adventure specialist as well to get the specific information.
Yep. And then the recording as well. So
yeah, and then we will have a recording that will be, we will have a link to the recording as well. We talked about tapping in. We did get a question about how the Genie Plus works with the Disability Access Service card program. That is the DAS is a program for guests with cognitive disabilities or abilities that disabilities that prevent them from being able to maintain the standing in lines for a long time. So that is, it works great with that. Your adventure specialist can also talk you through that, but that is definitely something that can both be used together. And I think that's all that we had.
All right. I think there's one. I can get this open to read it. All right, Kate. So no, so you are, hi, Kate. So you guys are already connected in your My Disney experience. And so that's the key when you're traveling with a group, is to make sure that you're all linked together. That's something that I've already done for you. So you guys are all good. But if you're here and you're traveling with a group, you just want to make sure that you're all linked together as friends and family. And then when you're going in to make that purchase the day of, you're going to be able to choose who you purchase it for. So if you want to just purchase it for your family, or once you've purchased Genie Plus for the whole party, if only a couple people want to ride Mickey and Minnie's, you're going to be able to individually select all of those people. And so hopefully that makes sense there. And so that's why it's important to make sure you have everybody linked. Yes, Amanda.
It's a good point, because if people in the group want to make different selections, they can. So if you have some people who want to ride one thing and some people who want to ride another, you can do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Danielle.
Do we have any other questions? You can type it in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, we can do that. And obviously we know that this is a ton of information. So when you process it, if you need to, just send an email to your venture specialist, and they'll kind of help, once you've kind of digested everything that we just gave you. If you have questions too, don't hesitate to reach out to them.
The return anytime deal, if the ride is down, does that only apply to IAS rides, or does that apply to any ride reserved through Genie Plus?
You want that one, Amanda? You want me to take it?
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm sure of the answer, but maybe you should take it.
I know the answer.
There you go.
That is going to be just for the individual attraction selection. And the reason being is because that price is for one specific ride. And so that is what you would be refunding if that specific ride is down. You would not be eligible for a refund for the Genie Plus if only one ride out of all of them went down in the park, because you have lots of other options. So it is just for the individual attraction selection.
So if you're on Genie Plus and the ride is down, you just have to try and refresh and rebook that ride another time.
It should allow you to go at a later time also for the Genie Plus. Right, your window should open up if it's closed during your time. Typically, you'll see that the rides that do close are the more of these trackless rides that they have now, which is like Remy and Rise of the Resistance. But they definitely would allow you to go back at a later time if the ride was closed during your window.
And they do get to pick another ride, right?
Yeah, what will happen is it will give you, I don't know if I can see it in mine still, but you will be given a, what they used to do like an anytime fast pass, but it will give you an option to rebook for, use it for that ride or another ride.
So, okay, I saw Bob asked if we could review again how to purchase the IAS. So Bob, that's found in the same area as your regular Genie Plus selection. So it's going to be under the app, under tip board, and then select your park. And then you will kind of see it there. As you scroll down, you'll see it. If you're at Magic Kingdom, it's going to be for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And so you will scroll down until you find Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. You will see what time it is. So here's the other key is like when you're doing that, if you see that the return time is 12 o'clock and you have a lunch reservation at Be Our Guest at 11:30, that 12 o'clock reservation just isn't going to work for you. So you might need to wait a second, refresh, wait until that time gets to be a little bit further back in the day. Then you click on that ride, and then it will walk you through the purchasing process. Make sure you're selecting the people that you want to purchase it for, and it will charge to the card that is saved on your app. Also a key. That's how Genie Plus is too. So make sure whatever card you have stored in your app and in your My Disney Experience account is the card that you want to use, because you don't want to be fiddling with trying to change the purchase card by typing in new numbers and new new expiration dates when you're trying to make those selections quickly.
Yeah. And I will also say that video of Becky demonstrating that is on our YouTube channel, but it will be in the packet with the Genie Plus information along with this recording.
And there's one more question about the best strategy for booking the second return time. Make it later in the day or as close to the 2-hour window as possible. I think we touched on this a little bit. Danielle, maybe you can touch on it as well, but you're going to want to book earlier, right? Danielle, is that what we're talking?
Yeah, I think that's, like I think, the best strategy to get the most is to click the ride, check the ride that has the closest return time to the current time when you're making it. Because that just means as soon as you use that one, you can get another. So go ahead, Amanda, you have some.
Well, I was going to say, I think this is easily misunderstood, but there's not actually a 2-hour waiting period. The 2-hour waiting period only applies if your reservation is more than 2 hours away. So if you can book a 9:30 and then a 10 and then an 11, you can get 3 rides in between 9 and 11. But if all that's available at 11 is at 3 o'clock, then you can book another one at 1 instead of waiting until you tap in at 3. So I think that's an important distinction. Hopefully that makes sense. Chris,
that's where it all starts to get a little convoluted and just gets a little complicated, is kind of understanding that piece. And if you need more information, reach out to your venture specialist. They can kind of maybe set up a time to like really dive down and make sure that you get that flow chart so you understand and can see it and to do that. But the best way is to kind of just keep choosing the next available time closest to the current time to get through as many as possible.
So I have a quick question on that. So when you go into Genie Plus and you are making your selection, are you seeing like all of the times that are available, or is it just going to show you like one time per chance, I guess, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so it just only shows you the next available time. So there is no option to choose to scroll over. Like if you used FastPass in the past where you could kind of like see a couple different times, they give you only the next available time.
Okay, so if you do see something and it's very late in the day, it's safe to, and I realize throughout the day then it could cancel, so you should keep refreshing. But is it safe to assume at that point that as of that moment, nothing is available? It's been booked up until that time?
Correct. Yeah.
Cancels. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Anybody else? All right, well, hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you have a good grasp of the situation and how it works, kind of the ins and outs a little bit. Like Amanda said, you know, we really think that once you get there, you're using the app, it's all going to start making a lot more sense. You know, it's just a lot of information to digest. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Like we said, don't forget, reach out to your venture specialist. They'll get you the Genie Plus packets. We'll have all of this information. The video will take a little bit of time because we've got to process it through Zoom, and then we got to process it onto YouTube. But we'll have that so you can watch that video again if you need it, as well as having all of the graphics that we've created, including a Genie 101 document that we didn't have on here that kind of incorporates all of our best tips and tricks there too. So hopefully there's plenty of information for you to feel successful and excited to use Genie Plus on your next vacation, which hopefully for some of you is coming up super soon. So if anyone doesn't have anything else, yes, Kim?
Sorry, I didn't know if you saw my hand. I feel like my video is not working correctly, but
Okay.
I wanted to say one thing that like I came across because I literally just got back a couple hours ago, and you guys probably know about it, but on that homepage is the thing that says audio tales. And of course my phone just died, but I was going to show it. It has some really cool features that I never used before. And you can just click right on that. And there's different places throughout the parks, and it'll just give you like some history or it just gives you some information about an attraction or like Liberty Square. Lacey and I were in there, and it was really neat. And you know, if you're in between doing things like Lacey and I were, it was just something that kind of like kept you going with something Disney. And I thought that was really cool, along with the photo lenses that were the snap photo lenses that were really neat too.
Yeah.
But using those blue umbrellas for guest services with any issues with Genie Plus is definitely a help. They're great with questions or if you get stuck with something. So I definitely recommend that.
Thank you. Yeah,
Think of the audio tales as if you're going to an exhibit at a museum, right? And you're listening in to the earphones or whatever. It's kind of that kind of information, right? Tells you a little bit about where you're standing, what you're looking at, a little bit of the history. It is a fun thing to listen to while you're at the parks.
Awesome. All right. Yes. Thanks for that reminder, Kim. I know that video touched on it, but we didn't touch on that much too. So, all right. I think that's it. So thanks so much for joining us. Go enjoy the rest of your evening. And we will chat with you all really soon. Bye.